Hi again, everybody. This is Dan from Prayer Warriors, and today we're talking about Elisha again. Um, and this story focuses on the precision of prophecy. This one's kind of a disturbing one. Um, I've broken a lot of these stories down to short segments because I want these videos to be short and to the point. There's plenty of info in the links to get more information when a particular story interests you, and hopefully that's enough interest to do a verse by verse, chapter by chapter study of the Word, because that's really where the action is. Now, sometimes a prophecy will appear to have a contradiction of some kind, and when that happens, rejoice, as Chuck Missler would say, because behind that is a hidden truth that God wants you to dig out. There's no contradiction, just sometimes hidden gold. Now, the king of Syria, Ben-Hadad, now that appears to be a title, not a name, kind of like Pharaoh. He attacked Israel again and laid siege. The famine was so bad within the walls of the city that a woman came to the king asking for food and told him actually that she'd resorted to cannibalism along with another woman, and they'd killed her son one day and boiled him, and were about to kill the other lady's son next. At that, the king was horrified, and he tore his clothes, and he immediately blamed the prophet Elisha and threatened to kill him because, you know, Elisha served God, and this king was blaming God. Elisha knew that the king's messenger was on his way to kill him, so he told his friends to pin the door shut when they came, and that the king would probably be right behind him. Elisha told the messenger, "The Lord promises that tomorrow here in Samaria you will be able to buy a large sack of flour or 2 large sacks of barley for almost nothing." The messenger didn't believe it and said, "I don't believe it. Even if the Lord sent a rainstorm, it couldn't produce that much grain by tomorrow." Elisha responded, "Well, you'll see it happen, but you won't eat any of the food." Elisha warned him. Now, it kind of sounds like a contradiction. You'll see it, but you won't eat any of it. Well, you'll find out. About the same time, 4 men that had leprosy were just outside the gate of Samaria, and they said to each other, "Hey, why should we sit here waiting to die, man? There's nothing to eat in the city, so we would starve if we went inside, but if we stay out here, we will die for sure. Let's sneak over to the Syrian army camp and surrender. They might kill us, but they might not." And that evening, the 4 men got up and left for the Syrian camp. Now, as they walked toward the camp, the Lord caused the Syrian troops to hear what sounded like the roar of a huge cavalry. The soldiers said to each other, "Listen, the king of Israel must have hired Hittite and Egyptian troops to attack us. Let's get out of here." So they ran out of their camp that night, leaving their tents and horses and donkeys and evidently their food. When the 4 men with leprosy reached the edge of the Syrian camp, no one was there. Well, they walked into one of the tents where they sat down and ate and drank before carrying off clothes as well as silver and gold. They hid all this, then walked into another tent, and they took what they wanted and hid it too. Then their conscience got to them. They said to each other, "Hey, this isn't right. Today is a day to celebrate, and we haven't told anyone else what has happened. If we wait until morning, we will be punished. Let's go to the king's palace at once and tell the good news." Well, they went back to Samaria and shouted up to the guards at the gate, "Hey, we've just come from the Syrian army camp, and all the soldiers are gone. The tents are empty, and the horses and donkeys are still tied up. We didn't see or hear anybody." Well, the guards, they didn't actually believe them, I guess. They reported the news to the king's palace first. Well, the king got out of bed and said to his officers, "I know what those Syrians are doing. They know we're starving, so they're hiding in the fields, hoping we will go out to look for food. And when we do, they can capture us and take over our city." Well, one of his officers replied, "We have a few horses left. Why don't we let some men take 5 of them and go to the Syrian camp and see what's happening? I mean, we're going to die anyway, like those who have already died." So they found 2 chariots, and the king commanded the men to find out what had happened to the Syrian troops. How'd you like to be chosen for that job? Well, the men rode as far as the Jordan River. All along the way, they saw clothes and equipment that the Syrians had thrown away as they escaped. Well, they went back to the king and told him what they'd seen. At once, the people went to the Syrian camp and carried off what was left. They took so much that a large sack of flour and 2 large sacks of barley sold for almost nothing, just as the Lord had promised. The king of Israel had put his chief officer in charge of the gate, but he died when the people trampled him as he rushed out of the city. Earlier, when the king was at Elisha's house, Elisha told him that flour or barley would sell for almost nothing. But the officer, the one that just got trampled, refused to believe that even the Lord could do that. So Elisha warned him that he would see it happen but would not eat any of the food, and that's exactly what happened. The officer was trampled to death. The precision, whatever my mouth's trying to say, I'll try it again. The precision of prophecy. There are many more similar examples in the Bible. It's important to rightly divide the word. What looks to be a contradiction actually holds insights to be gleaned. Well, I've got the links below, and may God richly bless you.